You know what I mean? My albums is called Thoughts of a Predicate Felon. I look at it as Yayo being Yayo.
Now, when 50 Cent dropped Get Rich or Die Trying in the early 2000s, there was nothing that could stop his rise to the top. The album nearly went platinum in its first week, selling 875,000 copies, and the once upon a time street hustler from Queens turned into a business mogul right before our very eyes. After Get Rich or Die Trying became a success, the next obvious move for 50 should have been to drop a follow-up solo album. However, 50 showed loyalty to his team and introduced the world to G Unit with their debut album, Beg for Mercy. Beg for Mercy was a commercial success, selling 380,000 copies in its first week. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, but most importantly, we got to learn a little bit more about Young Buck, Lloyd Banks, and Tony Yayo. Tony Yayo was notably not present on a lot of the album. He was arrested for weapons possession on December 31st, 2002, and again on January 9th, 2004 for possessing a forged passport. While he was in prison, Tony Yayo saw his popularity rise. Eminem and G Unit created a Free Yayo campaign, which became even more popular when Eminem wore a Free Yayo t-shirt on stage at the 2003 Grammy Awards.
The Free Yayo thing M took me to the next level. 50 took the Free Yayo thing, he ran with it. I mean, Banks, Buck, they all shouted me out. Free Yayo, everywhere you go was a Free Yayo campaign. They never fucking forgot about me.
With his buzz growing with each passing day, Tony Yayo was itching for a moment to shine and prove himself to his fans. And when he got released from prison, he jumped on Lloyd Banks' Ain't No Click from Lloyd Banks' debut album, The Hunger for More. On August 30th, 2005, Tony Yayo released his debut album called Thoughts of a Predicate Felon. The album sold 215,000 copies in its first week, coming in at number 2 on the Billboard 200. G Unit saw a level of success that most rappers can only dream of. They sold a lot of records, created a movement, had their hand in multiple business ventures. However, in the real world, that level of success cannot be maintained forever. And not before long, G Unit's place at the top of the rap game came to an end. With that being said, what happened to Tony Yayo, and why has he stopped releasing as much music as he used to? In simple terms, Tony Yayo's album wasn't as impactful as The Hunger for More and Straight Outta Cashville. As mentioned earlier, the album sold 215,000 copies in its first week. Rappers nowadays can only dream of achieving these numbers. However, back in 2005, those numbers were considered mediocre. In comparison, Banks sold 433,000 copies in the first week, and Buck did 361,000. Both Banks and Buck got to release a second solo album under G Unit Records, while Yayo did not. And many people believe the mediocre reception to his first album is the reason he didn't get a second chance at a solo project. Now, another reason why Tony Yayo isn't dropping projects as often is because G Unit's presence in hip-hop isn't what it used to be. In 2008, nearly 5 years after releasing their debut album, G Unit released Terminate on Sight. The album came in at number 4 on the Billboard 200, bringing in 200,000 copies in its first week. Currently, the album is sitting at over 1.5 million albums sold globally. Now, even though Terminate on Sight did decent numbers, it was not well received by the fans. For one, Young Buck was not present on a handful of songs because he had a personal issue with 50 Cent. He was also going through some legal issues at the time, and hence he was kicked out of the group. To most people, Terminate on Sight felt like a lesser version of Beg for Mercy because Buck was hardly on any tracks. Additionally, this album came out after 50 and G Unit's beef with the game, and the effects of all his diss tracks was starting to take a toll on the unit. Now, as you all know by now, 50 is one of the biggest trolls in the game. He used to troll rappers on records when he was at the top of his career, and now social media is 50's favorite avenue to vent. Regardless, 50 always manages to find a way to target new prey, and in some cases, his own team members become casualties of the master troll. Now, 50 did an interview with The Breakfast Club on April 2014, and this is what he had to say. I just shot 13 music videos for Animal Ambition. With Ye, I put him in like 4 of the joints. I think some people are like milk. They have an expiration date. No matter what you do, they'll spoil after a while. What I'm saying to you is I've done a lot for them. Being personable with people, they'll feel that homeboy code, you got it so you give it to me, versus what makes sense. If you don't sustain your value in the marketplace, I gotta pay you the market rate. Now, what 50 is referring to here is his distaste for his fellow group members' lack of a work ethic. 50 has constantly voiced his opinion about G Unit publicly, and one of the things he constantly brings up is the fact that he believes that he enabled them to be complacent. 50 believes he made his fellow group members too dependent on him, and because 50 has status and links to people in the industry, the other members of G Unit didn't do much to establish themselves outside of 50. A couple of weeks after 50 compared the members of his crew to milk, 50 appeared on Hot 97, this time referring to Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo as Troy Ave's hype men. They actually like Troy Ave's hype men now. That's not a shot. They're there as the supporting cast. Now, for those of you that don't know, Troy Ave is a rapper from New York, and at the time he would take a classic New York record and sample it and lay his verse over it. By doing this, he developed a lot of respect from the older generation, and it wasn't long before Banks and Yayo decided to work with him. Now, once Tony Yayo got a hold of what 50 said about him, he responded on Twitter with the following: "As much bullets as I took for G Unit, my mom's crib shot up, almost killed my sis and my niece. Now I'm compared to milk. I made that brand." It's clear that Yayo felt unappreciated. Now, for some context, Yayo's mother's house was sprayed with bullets while his sister and her daughter were inside, but fortunately for them all, they managed to make it out just fine. Tony Yayo's sister told the New York Daily News that she thinks their house was shut up because someone wanted to send a message. And many people believe this all happened because Tony Yayo was linked to an attack on Jimmy Henchman Roseman's teenage son. It's obvious that Yayo felt some type of way about 50's statement. He was also going through a troubling time in his life, but because he was loyal to 50, Yayo chose to keep it moving. Because at the end of the day, Yayo was there before 50 blew up, so he understands 50's personality very well. So he knows not to hold on to a grudge for too long. Now, a lot of people, including me, used to wonder why Yayo put up with 50's bullying. Yayo would constantly get clowned by 50, and 100% of the time, Yayo wouldn't do anything about it.
Niggas got Yayo up in the hand. Niggas got Yayo up. Niggas got Yayo up in there.
From the outside looking in, it seems as though Yayo, Buck, Banks, and 50 aren't loyal to each other, but that's really far from the truth. According to Tony Yayo, loyalty is what keeps him and the rest of G Unit in check. Loyalty is my biggest thing. 50 helped all of us eat. We all had mansions, we all had Bentleys. So if Fifth is in a bad mood or feels a certain way that day, you just eat that. You learn to judge your friends for who they are. Now, at the end of the day, Yayo knows that 50 will continue to troll him and the rest of G Unit for the sake of likes. However, I think Yayo knows that he's more valuable when he's next to 50. So in essence, Yayo won't do or say anything negative about 50 because 1. Tony Yayo is loyal, 2. 50 gave him everything he has, and 3. Because 50 is still the boss. Much to everyone's surprise, on June 1st, 2014, the original members of G Unit reunited during Hot 97's annual Summer Jam event. Before this moment, 50 spent a lot of time trolling his G Unit affiliates on social media. Young Buck was notably still absent from the group. However, 50 shocked the industry by performing with the original members at Summer Jam for the first time in 10 years. They performed a bunch of their old hits, and once again G Unit became a name often heard during hip-hop conversations. Coming off of the hype of their Summer Jam performance, 50 and the unit decided to release new material. They released the Beauty of Independence EP on August 25th, 2014. The EP did well amongst G Unit's core fan base, so they followed it up with another good project called The Beast is G Unit. However, soon after that, the hype behind G Unit material came to an end, and like always, the G Unit reunion was short-lived. On July 3rd, 2019, 50 Cent went on Twitter once more and said the following: "Some people are not built to make it. Their habits and instincts will pull them right back to the struggle. You put them on, and they mess up the package. Do you realize G Unit only did 5 shows together without me?" Now, what is 50 Cent actually talking about? And I went into more detail about this in a previous video called What Happened to Lloyd Banks. But once again, 50 believes that Yayo, Buck, and Banks aren't doing enough to promote themselves as solo artists. Whenever it was time to shoot a music video, do promo, or get in the studio, the G Unit members would look to 50 to take care of most of the work instead of taking matters into their own hands. Like I mentioned earlier, when Yayo got out of prison, he got $1 million in a Bentley. He was thrusted into instant stardom overnight, and just like the other members of G Unit, he became complacent and dependent on 50 to make him money instead of building his own brand.
50 will put me in front of him.
Lately, it appears as though 50 and Tony Yayo are on good terms. Earlier this year, 50 decided to collect the money owed to him by his peers. To nobody's surprise, 50 ended up calling Tony Yayo, and the pair had a humorous conversation on the phone.
What's up, big homie?
I was calling you because I was thinking about people that gotta give me my money back.
Oh man, here we go. Oh, come on, big homie. What you talking about?
To Yayo's surprise, after their phone call, 50 uploaded their conversation online, to which Tony responded with, "You put this up? You tripping, homie?" Now, during the phone call, 50 made us aware that he's been giving Yayo money for years. Yayo felt like because he and 50 were friends, he shouldn't have to pay him any money, and offered to pay him in ways that involve criminal activity. Now, Yayo still puts out music to this day. He appeared on Focus the Truth's North Side to South Side. And if you're a fan of Tony Yayo, this song is definitely worth checking out. Now, Yayo also dropped another song with DJ Woo Kid called Kitty Bill. And honestly, man, I hate to say it because I like a lot of Yayo's songs, but this one reminded me why Yayo is considered the weakest member of G Unit. Nevertheless, I still listen to Tony Yayo's thoughts of a predicate felon, and I'm looking forward to Tony Yayo's role in the next G Unit project, if that ever comes out. Anyway guys, it's your boy Ali. What do you guys think happened to Tony Yayo? Let me know in the comment section below. Once again, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Peace.